Welcome in, believe in the Wolfpack. I'm your host, Luke Nichols. Happy to welcome you back in after another good weekend and a good few days for Pack basketball. The men's team and the women's team both picking up big wins. We're going to start with the men's team today just because, all year, women's team, they're now third in the country, much more of a clear path to the tourney. So we gotta put more of our energy into the men's team so we can just get them into March. They just got to be playing meaningful ball in March. So they picked up a win over Georgia Tech this Saturday, won 82 to 76. And I kind of said it last week where after Georgia Tech beat North Carolina, I was like, yeah, they're 10 and 11 and they only have a 3-7 conference record, but don't sleep on this team. This is a good team. They've been playing well as of late. So this is a much more impressive win to me than it may seem at just a glance. You're kind of looking at it thinking, it's only a 6-point win. Georgia Tech was under 500. Some guys, and I mean, Georgia Tech shot the ball very well too. We didn't shoot that well from three. But so looking at just the box score, it's like, nothing crazy here. But if you really pay attention and you watch, it's like, all right, that was a good win. You'll take that win all day, especially with, there only being 9 games left in the regular season, but we'll get to that in a minute. To start, though, I want to mention just give some credit to Jaden Taylor in the first half when he was on the floor, sitting down, passes the ball out, just a perfect. Oh my god! I don't think I've ever seen a pass when someone's sitting down from the baseline to the top of the key, at least that far of a distance, and it gets through perfectly, and he gets an assist out of it without anybody hitting it or deflecting it. It was ridiculous. It was a great play. It was a great heads up, just hustle play, like make a quick decision, boom, get it out, 3 points. Maybe it was a difference. Who knows? Maybe that could have triggered a 6 point swing and then we lose in overtime. You never know. But anyway, just going over some numbers again. DJ Horn's been playing very well. He had 26 points in this game. Casey Morcell, 15 points. Not the best day from three, but still putting up 15. Jaden Taylor, 8 for 19 from the field, 3 for 9 from three with 21 points and 7 rebounds. DJ Burns with 8 points. He had 10 rebounds this game. That was very nice to see after a few games where he was limited to maybe, and I mean maybe, 3 rebounds. But the guy that I want to highlight tonight is Michael O'Connell because since being put in the starting lineup, even with the first few losses that we had with him being a starter, the offense has, felt a little bit better. And I think just O'Connell being the player that he is, he had 7 points, 6 assists, and 7 rebounds and 3 steals. That's a fantastic stat line. He played 33 minutes, and he's just that like classic point guard. He's going to distribute the ball. He's going to set the offense. He's going to, make plays just passing through the defense, make plays just dribbling the ball, dishing it off to guys. And that's so important for a team. You can't have just all scores. And the name of the game now is scoring points. You got to score. You got to score as quick as possible. Get the threes up, get the shots up as quick as possible. 7-second offense, Mike D'Antoni and whatnot. But not to still have a point guard who can distribute the ball and is just a good playmaker and a good passer is so important. It is so kind of maybe not underrated, but just underutilized in today's game. College, maybe not so much college. College, there's still great playmakers, but the NBA especially, the Celtics the last few years is the main team that I can think of that didn't really have a main point guard. They had like Derek White, they had Marcus Smart, they had Kemba Walker, Kyrie Irving, and those guys. Marcus Smart, defensive guy. Derek White, he can do a little bit of everything, but he's not really. I wouldn't label him as a distributor or a classic point guard as his first title. Kyrie and Kemba, they're scorers for the most part, even though Kyrie is also a great playmaker. But having Drew Holiday this year, and it makes so much of a difference. And you can see I believe they still have the best record in the NBA. I'm 90% sure that they're first in the Eastern Conference still. And some are saying this is the best Celtics team that they've had in this kind of Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown era. And I mean, yeah, Porzingis has been playing out of his mind which is kind of crazy to see. But I think it is because you have Drew Holiday there. And yeah, maybe, in the beginning, I don't think Drew Holiday started off that great, but he can still just be that guy to kind of set the offense and just be a playmaker, distribute the ball well, be smart with the ball, be careful with the ball, and play great defense. And that's the same thing with Michael O'Connell. He can just distribute the ball, and he's very smart, and he's very safe with the ball, and he's a solid defender, like I said, 3 steals. But I think that's the one thing where it's, maybe he's open a few times and he doesn't shoot the ball. Maybe he's wide open from the top of the key and you're like, why don't you shoot the ball? Shoot the ball right there. Or he's open for a mid range jumper and he doesn't take it. I'm fine with him not taking those shots because that's his brand of basketball. With the way he passes the ball and the way he just gets everybody involved, there's going to be times that he maybe doesn't think to shoot first. And there are times that he, is aggressive and makes the right decision and scores because he's still shot 2 for 5, 1 for 3 from three. So he's got a decent 3-point shot on him. So he can still space the floor. So it's not like you're playing off of him and just letting him shoot all day long. No, you still have to guard him at the 3-point line. But just to have him there as the guy who can just help everybody else out. And even then, it's kind of the same with DJ Burns. DJ Burns is the same where he's not the score first type. And then you have Marcel, who's, he should be the volume 3-point shooter. We just need him to knock down some more threes. Same with Jaden Taylor. He should be a guy that, it's probably the second option to, create a shot for himself and then still a good catch and shoot 3-point guy. And then obviously DJ Horn, who is, has been the first option the last month or two, and it's going well. He's got 26 points again this game. So, but it's just so important to have these guys that can distribute the ball and are just smart with the ball. Maybe they don't take chances where, if you just were a little bit aggressive here, then it would have paid off. But then on the other end, as if they're not aggressive, if they're conservative in some aspects, and they can just, set up a good pass, set up a good play, it just works wonders for the offense and the defense alike. So it's been very nice having Michael O'Connell really just find himself. Played 33 minutes in this game, and I mean, as long as he's healthy, he's going to be a starter the rest of the way. The bench, nothing much from the bench. Middlebrooks fouled out this game, but he still had 6 boards, so that's cool. Only 3 points. And then not much playing time for Dennis Parker Jr. and Cam Woods. Parker Jr., I'm not too worried about him. I mean, being a freshman, kind of hitting that wall where it's like, and again, to go back to Michael O'Connell being the starter, not so much taking Dennis Parker's spot, but taking over that. I don't know if that makes it any better, but whatever. Taking over Dennis Parker Jr.'s spot, that kind of, doesn't make it seem so bad that Parker has taken a bit of a step back. But still, I'm very happy with what I've seen out of Michael O'Connell. It's been very nice to have just like a guy who can distribute the ball and whatnot. And I compared him to Drew Holiday, which is probably a Hall of Fame NBA player. Pretty good comparison. But I mentioned earlier how there's only there is only 9 games left in the season, starting Wednesday night against Pitt. That's going to be probably another closer game. I mean, it's ACC play; they're all going to be close games. But Pitt, they are 5-6 in conference play, 14-8 on the year. So 9 games left. How I'm looking at it right now, trying to go on a game-by-game basis, but also giving somewhat of an overlook. I'm thinking 6-3 the rest of the way. I'm thinking 6-3. That would put us at 21-10 on the year. Right now we're 15-7. Not terrible, not fantastic. Just solid. 21-10 at the end of the year. That's a good-looking record. That's a solid record. And then you're 13-7 in the conference, which isn't, fantastic. It's not amazing. But if you can get, right now we're 4th in the conference. If we can stay right around that 4th, 5th region, 4th or 5th, that would be great. That would be ideal. And then you get into the ACC tournament and then you go from there. And then you see, hey, maybe you put together some good looking wins. You get some more quad 2, quad 1 wins in the ACC tournament, and then that just helps you for the bid because going 6-3 the rest of the way, I think would really help this team's chances. And again, you just have to get quad one wins. You have to get quality wins. I mean, Wake Forest, Clemson, North Carolina, and Duke. Those are the four games I'm really looking at, especially that Wake Forest game. If you can get that Wake Forest game, you beat them at Wake Forest. That game is this Saturday at 4. You can win that game. That would be massive. Or the Clemson game. The Clemson game, wow, they got a week break. I'm just realizing that. Hmm. Well, you got Pitt this Wednesday, Wake Forest on Saturday, and then the next game after the Wake Forest game isn't until the 17th against Clemson. So that's a really nice break. Maybe I should look at that Clemson game more than the Wake Forest game because that could be a quad one win and you're off for a week. You're well rested. But then you go into that whole argument of what would you rather have, rest, or would you rather go into the game, on fire? Would you rather go in the game hot, kind of like the MLB playoffs? Would you rather be, keeping the bats alive, or would you rather take a break and try to rest and get some guys energy like in the NFL and football, and this is probably going to be the same for the college football playoff next year. Whenever the team has a bye, that is just a massive advantage for football because you could have a bye early in the year, you could have a break early in the year, and you're just getting banged up every single game until playoffs. Getting that bye early in playoffs or early in the playoff next year is going to be monumental. But I'm looking at the Clemson game, maybe now more than the Wake Forest game, but still looking at the Wake Forest game. And then if they can pull off the upset against Duke or North Carolina, that Duke game would be great. At home, beating Duke or North Carolina is the better team. We saw that this Saturday. But man, getting a win over a top 25 opponent, they got to do it. They got to do one of those games. Not having a win over anybody in the top 25 at the time when they were in the top 25 is not a great look. I mean, Wake Forest, we already beat Wake Forest this year. That was a great game. But so if you can do it again, maybe they sneak in the top 25 and then that win looks better. But you got to win the games when the teams are playing that well, if you know what I mean. But still got, like I said, 9 games left. They got a week break after the Wake Forest game on Saturday. So that'll be nice to try to, get some rest and whatnot. But after this big weekend for college basketball, a ton of movement in the top 25, as there usually has been. No change in the top 3, as the top 3 teams won this weekend. UConn beating St. John's, Purdue sneaking one out against Wisconsin, and the North Carolina beating Duke. I mean, maybe not easily, but you could kind of tell from the jump. I thought North Carolina was going to win that game. Oh, if you tuned into last week's episode, I recorded it before the Wednesday night games, posted it Thursday morning. So I'm counting my prediction of Florida upsetting Kentucky. I'm counting that. Because I had no idea. It was before the game started. I'm counting it. It was I'm just trying to say, maybe I told you so, maybe I didn't. But I've been wrong too many times to start throwing out I told you so. So I'm at least that self-aware. Marquette jumped up 2 spots. Tennessee dropped a spot. Houston only dropped a spot. Kansas moved up to 4 after beating Houston also pretty easily. Duke dropped 2 spots. Illinois jumped up 4 spots. But then you have South Carolina jumping up 11 spots. They were out of the top 25 and jumped up to 15. That is huge. Like I said, after they beat Tennessee, they've been playing very well. They just beat Georgia this Saturday, I think. Beat them by right around 8 or 10 points. And then Kentucky dropped 7 spots because they also lost. They didn't have DJ Wagner, I believe, but they still lost to Tennessee at home. Like I said, I'm not confident in Kentucky this year. Creighton dropped 6 spots. Alabama moved up 8 spots. But man, South Carolina moving up 11 spots, going from outside the top 25 to 15. That is crazy. That's wild. I wanna see where they sit. Okay, they're now I kinda wonder how Alabama feels about this because South Carolina is 19-3. They have the better record, but they're second in the SEC behind Alabama, who's 8-1, and they were ahead. Alabama was ahead of South Carolina last week in the rankings, and they beat South Carolina already this year. But South Carolina jumped them in the top 25 after not being ranked. Alabama's 16th and South Carolina is 15. Yeah, I can't imagine Alabama basketball fans are happy about that. But hey, they got the coaches poll. The coaches poll, they got South Carolina at 20, and then Alabama is 16. I wonder where they are in the net rankings. Oh, that actually reminds me. NC State now I just had them on here. They are now 77th in the net rankings, which still isn't great, but what are you going to do? Alabama is fifth in the net rankings, according to NCAA.com. Houston is first somehow. But yeah, they have Alabama at fifth. Where is South Carolina? Oh, they're decent. Okay, they're 38th. They're a decent bit down there. But according to the Associated Press, South Carolina is 15th and Alabama is 16th, and Kentucky is 17th. Kentucky's 15-6 now. I mean, they're struggling. They need those young guys to really start to come along and improve late in the year. Indiana State's getting votes for the top 25. That's cool to see. Hope they get in there. But we'll take a break for a moment, and when we come back, gonna talk some women's Wolfpack. All right, welcome back in. Going to talk about some NC State women's basketball, and then we'll wrap it up here. So, NC State picked up a big win against North Carolina this past Saturday. Or no, it wasn't Saturday. I kept thinking it was Saturday. That's what was my problem. It was Thursday. Whatever. Uh, But anyway, they're now third in the top 25. And I get it, some people don't really care about the top 25, whatever. It's all opinion based, maybe, blah, 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 blah. I like the top 25. I like getting the recognition. I like, getting credit. I like just seeing kind of where we stand and where, experts think that we stand. But we're third again. So, have been third for most of the year. Took a slight dip, right back up there, as expected, just behind South Carolina, who has a firm hold on that top spot. And then Iowa and Caitlin Clark are second. Colorado is behind us now. Ohio State jumped up 3 spots to fifth, and Kansas State is starting to fall, as is Stanford. Stanford is sixth. Kansas State is eighth. USC jumped up 5 spots to 10th after Watkins scoring 51 points. It's just unbelievable. But yeah, so that game, that's where I was. I completely lost my train of thought for a second. But game against North Carolina, that was a great game. That was a close game. That is a really tough win. That win actually knocked North Carolina out of the top 25. So now Louisville is 15th, and then Virginia Tech is 16th. But that was a close game, just a 4-point win over North Carolina. I mean, close the entire time. Going into the fourth quarter, it was what, 49-48? If I'm doing that correctly? Yeah, it was 49-48 going into the fourth quarter. And pull away, not really pull away, but you win by 4. I'll take that all day long. Not the greatest night shooting from beyond the arc, but still, Mimi Collins had 14 points and 7 boards. Zaya James, does a lot of her damage beyond the arc. She was 0 for 5, the volume 3-point shooter. Still had 10 points. And then Sanaya Rivers, she had a phenomenal game. 14 points, 9 boards, 4 assists, and 2 steals. Probably the main reason that we won that game. And then Zoe Brooks off the bench had 10 points, 2 boards, and 2 assists, and a steal. So, again, just an all-around great game. It was really nice to see just see them pull that one away. The next game is, by the time this episode airs, it will already have happened because play Louisville Monday night. So last night at 7 o'clock. If they won, let's go. Best team in the country. If Louisville won, then fluke game. We'll get them next time. Not worried about it. What are you gonna do? Whatever. Playing both sides. Got to play both sides. But it's gonna be another good game tonight. It's on ESPN2. Hoping they get another win because then you just go right to Virginia Tech. This Thursday. Like I said, you had these 3 top 25 games in a week. It's a tough schedule. I'm not sure who kind of got these games together and put them in this order, but come on. Let's space them out a bit. Give us a break here. But I got faith that they can pull it out. So just good to see us back in the top 3. I mean, let alone top 25, but good to see back in the top 3. And honestly, it's kind of what I've been thinking about this entire time. Women's basketball this year has been incredible. It has been so honestly, I think it's been better than the majority of men's basketball just because like you look at all the stars and the big names that you have for women's basketball. They probably have 3, 4, 5, probably 5 big names that you'll think of first before anybody in men's basketball now. You have Caitlin Clark, you have Dawn Staley, you have Angel Reese, you have Juju Watkins, you have I'm forgetting someone's name, but I mean that's 4 right there that I'm talking about. Paige Beckers on UConn. That's what it was. I saw UConn down there. I was like, that's what I was that's what I was trying to find. You got those 5 names that are probably all bigger than what's the biggest name in men's college basketball? Zach Edey? Probably. As a player, especially. I mean, I threw in Dawn Staley there, head coach and then player, so maybe that's a little unfair, but I don't care. She's undefeated. Come on. But yeah, Zach Edey probably. RJ Davis probably, but I don't know. Like you think of like the big name schools like UConn, it's like that's kind of they're just a great overall team. Duke, not really what they used to be, but they're still great. I mean, Kyle Filipowski, you have him. Kentucky always has the young guys. Houston, it's just an overall good team. And even then, when you think of Zach Edey, you immediately think of Purdue and just choking in the tournament, losing to a 16 seed, losing to a 15 seed. So it's like I don't really know if you can give him that credit of like this massive name, like he's saving college basketball. He's like even like Frank Kaminsky was for Wisconsin. I have no idea how that was the first name that pops in my head, but I just remember Frank the Tank and them going on that Final Four run and whatnot. Again, no idea, but whatever. And I guess some of it has to do with guys not staying all 4 years and guys transferring, and they haven't really created a name for themselves at the school that they're at currently, but still, like the biggest name by far, even if you just want to talk Edie versus Caitlin Clark, there's no contest. There's no contest. Caitlin Clark had Maryland fans waiting outside the stadium to get in for hours before the game. That game was completely sold out. I'm pretty sure, I thought the CBS TikTok or something had a specific Caitlin Clark cam just following her throughout the game. Even during the game on the main broadcast, they never took down her individual like box score, her stat sheet. It was on there the entire time. And they updated it in a second. She would get an assist. Boom, right there. She would hit a 3. The 3 points get added, and the shot, and the attempt, and everything. There's no bigger name in college basketball right now than Caitlin Clark. And it has been awesome to see because it's kind of like, you're not waiting for her to lose. No one's like really hating on her and saying, oh, she stinks, she's overrated, blah, 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 blah. No, it's kind of like a resounding, oh my god, she's amazing. Like she might be the greatest women's college basketball player we've ever seen. That's just the objective opinion on her. And it's just been awesome to watch. And the women's tournament is going to be unbelievable. I can't wait for it. But it is cool to see that they're just, taking over the college basketball scene because I mean the 2010s you had a ton of great men's college basketball teams and then it was the women's side it was just run by UConn. Now you have just different names, different great teams. It's been awesome to see. It's been really fun to see. But just to wrap it up about NC State, our Wolfpack again have the Louisville game last night for me tonight. Hoping they pull that one out. We'll have the full recap of that game in our next show. That'll come out Thursday morning. Yeah, Thursday morning. I don't know why I've been so thrown off with the days of the week the last week or two. I, last week, Thursday, all day Thursday. Thought it was Friday. Wednesday, thought it was Thursday. Tuesday, thought it was Wednesday. It doesn't make sense. It was annoying. It felt like the longest week ever. And I just a little thrown off. But hoping for wins, hoping for this, the positive energy of Wolfpack basketball to continue. Otherwise, we're going to completely flip to NC State baseball. So just we still got time. There's still March. We got time. Let's get to March. Let's get to both teams get to March. But thank you again for joining in on this episode of Believe in the Wolfpack, and we'll see you next time.